I think I hit on this about me. I'm just checking my notes here. Oh, I did hit it all. So I just want to one last thing. Well, two last things. So I've mentioned a couple things about accessibility standards, and again, the World Wide Web Consortium Web Content Accessibility Guidelines is really where I would point people to. Those are really the primary guidelines. Whoever's asking about the question for the link, which link are you asking about? Sean and I can make sure we get the link that you need out to you. So the CAG is the primary guideline. W3.org is where they're sort of top level of them, but if you do a Google search for WCAG, you'll find them maybe more than you wanted to know. And beyond that, the thing that I try to tell people is that learn to have empathy for the people who use your products or your web pages. So learning to understand about different disabilities and how they use the web will give you a much better idea of what your audience has to go through to use your information or your products. Understanding the accessibility guidelines and some of those technology and technical solutions gives you the ability to meet their needs. And then the last thing is if you are working in an environment where you're doing agile, so instead of the old days where people would put requirements and then they would go in development and then they would go into test, and it's all like 6-month segments, and it might be 2 years from the beginning till anything comes out the end. Today, everybody's doing agile developments, and some people are doing continuous development, continuous integration, where they release things every day, something, little piece comes out. Have that agility of doing things in short, small bursts gives you the ability to address accessibility every day or every 2 weeks and make people wait for 6 months to 2 years for something to be fixed. And so my little motto these days is empathy, understanding, and agility are the 3 things to get accessibility success. And with that, I'm gonna throw it up to questions, and John and I can certainly get any links that people are interested in out to you if we missed them.
Hi, Alan. Thank you for your presentation, and I know that you've shared a lot of valuable information. So I would invite everyone now to just ask your questions, unmute your microphones, and ask questions to Alan, because Alan is very, very knowledgeable about testing. And if you have questions or experiences about local websites, especially like, for instance, the banking system, you could perhaps make some suggestions or ask questions in terms of how we can go about making those systems accessible. So I'll invite you just unmute your mics again and throw some questions out there.
Hi, Alan.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Karen from Trinidad and Tobago. Wonderful presentation. I like the idea of the tool which you talked about to do the accessibility, the website testing for accessibility. Normally when you hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. No, normally I would not like use headings, navigation, etc., forms, edits, fields, etc., to check their accessibility. But thank you for the information. I'm learning. So tool or test or exam that you go through, or it's what you get material and you study and you write an exam, or how do you do? How it is done?
So the training is a set of 6 online courses. The first course goes over accessibility. It's really almost like this. It talks about what is accessibility, why it is important, and it talks about the standards and the assistive technologies. The second course goes into very deeply into the accessibility guidelines so that you understand what each one of them is and the impact of if you don't meet them, in other words, so if you don't have captions in a video, well, who does that impact? It impacts people that can't hear. It impacts people with limited hearing. It can impact, people like captions. They like to use captions on TVs when they're in a loud environment. They may be in a restaurant watching a football game and they want to hear the words. They can't. So that course goes through all the standards. And then you have a tool installation course to make sure you get your tools installed. There's a tool that Trusted Tester uses called Andi, A-N-D-I. And it's a free tool from the federal. I developed that in conjunction with Trusted Tester. And then the big course is for Trusted Tester, which is like 22 modules. And really, the process is that you have some reading material, then you have some multiple choice questions. Just really, the intention is that did you understand what you read, and then you get some web pages that you have to test following the process that they gave you, and get your answers correct. And you get numerous times, but you'll get a different page each time.
So that tool, the tool Andi, is a hardware, right? Hardware.
No, it's a favorite that can be loaded in your browser.
Oh, okay. Like a plugin then.
Yeah. Well, it's like a plugin, except it does security problems as plugins do.
Right.
So.
Sounds interesting.
And then if you get through the big course, there's an exam and a certification exam, which put all those modules together and give you 3 web pages to test. And if you pass all that, you're a certified tester.
Wow, very, very interesting. So
and there are people that reach out and say, hey, we'd like to get some Trusted Tester results. There is work in that field.
Mm-hmm. So you said this can work as well as on apps as well on a.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a manual process, so you can test it on websites, you can test it on web apps.
And even general apps, right? General apps on, for example, Android or iOS.
Doesn't cover mobile yet.
Okay.
That is in the works. You actually can use Andi on an iPhone, actually on Android, although I don't think we've tested it. So if you have a web responsive app and you wanted to test it on the iPhone or on an iPad or something, you can. Tricky getting the bookmark with installed on there, but you can.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all right, sounds real good. And getting apps access.
And for anybody interested in the accessibility field or career, I would tell you that it's a pretty interesting field, and there's a lot of room for growth and employment in it. There's a lot of work to do, and the attention to accessibility around the world is increasing. So they're going to need more people to do work.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Hi again. I guess I just want clarity. Thanks for your presentation and going through Trusted Tester. You mentioned that Deque just launched a product. Could you talk a